over here with us. I am Ashok Kapoor. I come from Organic Recycling Systems Private Limited. We are a company which actually had initiated a thought process, as you very truly said, Mr. Chandra, way back in 2006. And this was a kind of a thought which came from a man who was involved in this entire exercise of environmental degradation that was going on. It is Mr. Suhas Band who heads this organization. He is the chairman of the company. And being a technocrat, the thought came as to where does the solution lie as far as waste management is concerned in this country. And this is where it all started from in 2006, a pilot project which was initiated in Sholapur, a 12-ton pilot project, which actually gave birth to what we have today as the only standing plant in the country. It took us almost from 2006 to 2009 to prove to ourselves and to prove to the industry, yes, there is something which is workable. Workable in the sense of a technology that was chosen. The particular sense I put stress upon the issue of technology is because in many technologies since the 1970s, I think India has been experiencing a lot of technological applications in the country as far as waste to energy is concerned, waste management is concerned, and unfortunately, in 2016, we have not discontinued our failures with the best of global technologies which have walked in. In this particular scenario, actually was the challenge as to what can be actually be done. And in 2009, we were given the opportunity to create a municipality interaction, and were given the, were chosen to put up a plant for a 400 ton per day municipal waste, mixed waste plant. The technology which was actually chosen by us for the pilot project was based on the biomethanation process. We chose a specific technology in the biomethanation called the anaerobic digestion, which was based on the thermophilic process. Now, when I say, just to give you a basic on the technology, in the anaerobic digestion there are two basic variants of application. One is a mesophilic, which is a very ambient temperature technology of composting, which is you can relate to the grand old composting that we've had in this country for God knows how many years, I would say, where composting has been a part of a process for every single farmer across the country. The other part of the technology which got developed over the period of time was thermophilic technology. Thermophilic technology is a very sensitive technology, and one of the reasons that we have seen has not had an application over the period in time. People have maybe tried, but it was fortunate for us to have that level of scientists and people that were put together. And the plant that came up in Sholapur, which was actually a 400 TPD, but got initiated with a 200 TPD capacity. Reason was very simple. Sholapur's collection of the waste, estimated to be in the range of 300 plus, was not going beyond 150 plus. It was a call that had been taken in between the municipality and the company, where we actually initiated 200 TPD line. And since 2013, this has been one of the plants which is actively functioning. We have compost generation as one of our byproducts, and we have the other byproduct which is called the biogas, which you were referring to, Mr. Negi. One of the applications that we have been very continuously been working on as to how we can actually capture the quality methane and convert that into electricity. Why did we put up a waste to energy electricity plant? I'll be very frank with you. India's readiness to accept biogas at that level was not there. Policies are still under construction, to be very frank. So the only option that was left is that we put up a plant, we create biogas, and we convert it into electricity. So we at least have a parameter to initiate and to showcase that, yes, there is an output level. Obviously, I think processes are changing, and thankful to the government and the Swachh Bharat mission, In the past 1.5 years, policies have been fantastically been redrawn. Today, I think where we stand, we've got a CRC mandate, we've got a compost mandate, we've got a biogas being decided by the MNRE. We should be hearing that, I think, in another month or two as to how it is going to be initiated for purposes of parity of price, etc. But overall, if I go back to the waste to energy, the factor where I'm trying to stress the point is that the foremost of the recognitions that we realize ourselves as a company was, what is the technology that works in this country? And I think why today we stand and say that yes, the government of India did a survey last year and they came out with our plant as the only plant which is the best practices, now they call it, as we have been granted that sanction, is because of a very certain particular reason, is that the plant has survived, the plant runs, the plant generates the required compost, the plant generates the required electricity, and today, fortunately for us, I would call it, that Sholapur got to be a smart city allocated. And with that, obviously the regularization of the waste is also happening. We are hoping that in matter of another 3 months, we should be hitting the required quantities, and we have started upgrading our plant. As you very truly said, Mr. Dawson, sir, the technologies and applications and the PLFs don't match. I think we were ready to actually accept that fact. But with the 200 TPD, we were always aware that that's what we should be doing with the PLF. When we reach that 400 TPD, that is when we are going to make the final statement of our plant. And hopefully, I think in matter of another 2 to 3 months, we should be able to make that statement also in the country. Going by the perspective of the waste to energy, the output, and taking advantage, sir, also of this combined program that we are having right now on the capacity building and skill, I would like to touch upon both of them, because coming from where the plant is and coming to where we have actually experienced an actual growth, today being the only plant which is actually functional in this particular area, looking at other developments, we have been very lucky enough that Sholapur being very close to Pune, the commissioner recommended that the plant should be put up in Pune. We've been able to acquire 750 TPD allocation over there. We also have a 1000 TPD allocation in Bangalore, which is being initiated by us. We've got histories behind all these things. Somewhere or the other, Bangalore had agitation and we got delayed with the implementation. But what I'm trying to state is, today, application of waste to energy directly related to the skill has been one of the major challenges, I would like to say. And very truly what Mr. Chandra said, the development of the skill needs to happen at the point where the plant is. Today, my requirement is in Sholapur. My requirement is not in Pune, because I still need to be coming up over there. But what we realized is when we put up the plant, along with us, we actually had to initiate a process where we were doing our own skill training management program, a capacity development and a skill training. Because there was a middle level skill requirement for us, and there was a basic requirement for us. And when we talk about a basic is when we're talking about the waste that comes into the plant. Saurav, can you put on the movie for the Sholapur plant, please? Why I want to take you to the Sholapur plant is because it'll be easier for me to relate to you as to where the skill development.
Are not shown at the different operating levels.
Sir, sorry.
What the cost of power generated? What the cost of power that you are generating at the different levels, capacities that you
Sir, as we go today, when we initiated in 2013, when we started the plant, we signed a PPA by the state government, which was just 4 rupees 88 paisas. We did go to the appellate, sir, and we were able to get the appellate to revise and provide us a 6.58 PPA once we are at 400 TPD. Last year, with the SBM going into force, technologies got identified in the country, and today a thermal and a biomethanation now has a CRC guideline to abide by. we have something like, for us, we have been given a 7.40 as a CRC guideline to provide that support to us. So if I work on my 4.88, I'll give you a very small factor of where we have been with compost and my 4.88 electricity generation. I started off with a 32 crore a term loan from the bank, and today I am standing at 23 crores after getting an announcement of 5 crores, which is 17 crores is what my current outlay has been over the period and time of variating running of my plant because of the supply lines that we were getting. So if you frankly ask me, sir, the cost of production, given the perspective of a biomethanation technology in the country, because we've got alternate streams of revenue, we've got a compost as a revenue. My compost right now is selling some in the market, sir, as a MRP price. It is going at somewhere between 6,000 to 7,000 rupees per ton. Very simple, I am in the high category because my technology provides a high quality compost, and it is not being marketed.
These are not answering the point that you see for handling different quantities of waste.
Sir,
What are your respective tariffs?
respective tariffs, sir. Sir, as far as I said, sir, the CRC has devised it for us now. So we have a
Irrespective of,
For 100 tons per day,
of your
what would be the
no, your plant size, then there is a certain in technology with the bank says there is certain optimization.
sir.
See whether we should know what should be if we are approaching this tariff, what will be the minimum size or what is the optimum size. And I think there is also the plasma technology.
Sir, these are in thermal, sir. Plasmas in thermal, sir.
In fact, today more people are talking to the plasma technology.
Very true, sir. So that's where I think we've been able to bring in a difference. Today, we started with a 400 TPD, and then the decentralized, which is what the new laws define as decentralized waste management. We have introduced a plant which starts from 1 TPD and goes up to 10 TPD. This is something that is currently working in BKC in Bombay, and we are implementing the same project in Varanasi with 10 tons units of approximately 100 tons management is what we plan to do. So when you talk about the cost, sir, the cost of electricity in the decentralized, the cost of the product, is it a cost of a product payable back or not is how we are calculating. On the smaller products, as we call them, these small products, this would give you a basic idea of what our small, this is the first time ever something like this has actually happened in the country, where you have it's a containerized solution, sir. You can put in mixed waste into this and come out with compost and biogas, which is convertible to electricity. When I talk about the cost on this, sir, it's got a 4 to 5 year maximum payback period is what we've calculated on. This has got a 15-year life cycle, and that's actually what we had been costing our basis on, that as it's going to be, the electricity is going to be purchasable by the municipality on a local basis. What is the cost that they would abide by, which is what their cost of purchase right now is also from a discount. So that's the parity that we have kept up with as far as the decentralized is concerned, and converted that into a 4 to 5 year period of availability available on the current financing models that we have been able to acquire from the bank. So sir, the cost, sir, my biogas generation is directly related to the kind of cost of electricity that I am generating. That's how it relates to. Sir, sir, the cost of the plant relatively to the cost of the generation is directly related to what I'm trying to actually express to you, sir. I have a waste input, sir, which is zero cost, I understand that. But the cost of the capital in relation to the cost of my operational cost put together provides me today, as I said, provides me today the capability at 4.88 also to convert that into a workable plant. Yes, my payback period is extended to 6 years. With the current period 7 rupees availability, my payback period is coming down to 4.5 to 5 years. So that is where my difference of to basically relate to you what the cost difference is coming is the payback period that is getting variated for me, where it goes up to 6 to 7 years and comes down to 4 to 5 years, with the cost of electricity being given to me at 4.88 or 7.40. I'm not talking about subsidy over here, sir. I'm not talking about subsidies over here, sir. Today, every single plant is vying for a subsidy. We've gone up to something like 35.
एक जरा
In
सा
Delhi, you see the biggest mounds. The biggest mounds that we have, the hills now, are the garbage hills. And I think, what we would like to know is that you see, for example, say a city like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, all these, what is the optimal model for them? What is the optimal technology? Because I know, you see, Koreans are pushing now for this plasma technology. What technology to go in for comparatively? What is the scaling up? At what point? Which technology is more beneficial? And what kind of waste? Because you see, it's a pretty messy business. We don't separate the waste.
Exactly, sir. So I'll give you a small brief on what happened in Bombay. I'll come to Delhi after that. Bombay, they have come out with identified 3,000 TPD needs to be managed on a ASAP basis. Reason being, Deonar actually got lit up, and there was smoke and fire, and a lot of acridness happened over here. Deonar wala. So when the consultants sat down, the criteria came up as to the technologies which are workable, sir. We have two sector of technologies. We've got a thermal technologies and all plasmas to all the incinerations to mass burning all fall under thermal. And we've got the other one which is called the biomethanation, sir. In India, why we are talking about biomethanation is very simple, sir. Today we have anywhere in the country, the moisture level of the waste, which is a mixed waste that we get, is ranging between 40 to 50% of moisture level. When we are talking about moisture levels, this means that a thermal technology needs to bring it down to somewhere in the range of 10 to 12% to actually make it workable for incineration to be applicable. It is not happening because there is a cost behind it. So the cost of drying actually kills the entire perspective of what a plant recoverability should be all about. And I think that's been one of the experiences that we've had with the Jindal plant in Delhi itself, sir. As Bombay is looking for an option, Bombay has something like 70 to 80% moisture levels because of the humidity and rains that happen over there. So the technology has become one of the major factor issues over here. So today, sir, Ghazipur was one of the freshest of the plant that has come up. It is shut right now because the technology has not worked as far as what they were proposed to be doing. So when we talk about Delhi, sir, 8,000 tons per day being generated as waste in this city. Getting dumped, processes is not happening. Process is not happening because the applicable technologies have not been able to actually handle the kind of waste which is getting generated. Why we are mobilizing the biomethanation so strongly over here is for a very specific reason. In the mesophilic, when you hear about the small plants, the 500 kg, the 200 kg, which are for the household kitchen waste, etc., which is being proposed that it should be put up locally, are the mesophilic ones. They don't need any temperature control management. You dump everything together, give it the period, give it a mix, and you are able to come out with that kind of gas which can be utilized for kitchen, or the compost that can be converted further treatment and you can use it for manure. On a large scale basis, the technology needs to be applicable for a 12-month period to be management. India, we have varying quarters. Every quarter, the cultural definition changes, the temperatures changes, eating habits changes, movement of people changes. Everything changes in every city. And that's been one of the aspects of learning that we have got over the period in time. That a technology which is able to actually handle those perspectives over the 4 quarters is the technology which is actually an applicable technology for the country. And that's where, if you see a thermal technology plant, and during the period of the monsoons, this tends to come down drastically because they are not able to handle that kind of moisture levels. Whereas in the heat periods, their generation is on optimums. It's very simple. The reason why it's happening is because they've got cost behind it and they are not able to handle that kind of water which actually comes in. In the biomethanation, we actually look forward to the water because we homogenize the material to make it into a slight slurry so that it can go into a digester to give the required output. So it's got to do with technology, sir. It's got nothing else as what we have understood. We are a technology company and that's how we pursue ourselves. One of the reasons why we come out with a small decentralized is because we were internally working on a technology criteria that we have no doubt cities like Delhi and Bombay, 8,000 tons, 7,000 tons, 9,000 tons. But we've got cities in Delhi, sir, which are not in India, which are not more than 25 tons, 30 tons, 50 tons. What do they do with their waste? And actually that is where we were looking at how do you provide a technological availability which actually can address the problem of the mixed waste first of all, and second of all, the characteristic of the waste which actually can give you the right output and handling. And that's, I think, where the success definition is what.
So I think that's well put. It is, your solution is for the following defined conditions. That is the optimum solution that you are recommending for
Yes, sir.
certain defined. Because you see, the oldest plant in Delhi was the Okhla
That's right, sir.
sewage treatment plant. After that, we had a Norwegian plant,
That's right,
which failed
sir. Way failed. That's right.
for the reasons that you are mentioning.
Sir.
Now, these are all subsequent developments.
Sir, these are, sir, and I think just to touch upon the point of the capacity building and the skill. Sir, as far as I think any technology is concerned, with due respect to the solar and wind which is happening across and still being debated, it's a demand and supply definition, sir.
No, it's a very, you see, it's a very essential thing. That's why we have devoted so much time to it. We can do our lunch time, but this is what you require in this country. Because there is no space for waste, and I think the disease and infections are spreading so badly in all our towns and cities.
And more than energy, it is a waste management,
Totally.
municipal management.
Very much, sir.
See, it's
Sir, the biggest obviously is the citizen force. Waste segregation at source can solve half the problem, sir. I think India's, I think 80% problem will get
Is
solved if the source segregation
sorting of
happens.
the waste.
Even if it's done not by the household, it's done by the colony, I think it will sort the problem. And I think today government has recognized, decentralized has come in, a process of thought has got into clarity today at least. So we are very hopeful that given another 4 to 5 years.
Apartments coming up now and all these societies, that is the opportunity to make it mandatory that you shall separate your waste.
Without doubt, sir.
That's what I say.
They've
Yes,
started,
so
they've
that's what
started.
you see, because you have that chunk, you can't have it in, here the plan is that every 5 years you regularize every slum. You cannot enforce any law.
Well, I think,
Thank you very much. I know.
Thank you, sir.
Kapoor Sahab, thank you very much for your comprehensive presentation. The